All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and the continuation of our RBT practice question series, where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please subscribe for all of our updates. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. You teach your client how to identify apples, oranges, and bananas. The client is now referring to the apple as fruit, but does not call the orange or banana fruit. If you wanted to encourage stimulus generalization, what would work best? The question is asking about stimulus generalization. And when we talk about stimulus generalization, what do we mean? Well, we mean a response that's occurring in the presence of multiple stimuli. And that's what we would call stimulus generalization. So in this case, what response do we want to generalize? Well, we want our client to start saying fruit, not only in the presence of apple, but also oranges and bananas. So right now, the response of fruit is being said in the presence of apple, and we want the client to start saying fruit in the presence of orange or banana. So we're trying to increase this skill or this communication behavior. What's going to work best in order to increase that behavior? A, reinforce the client when they refer to the orange or banana as fruit. Sure, if we deliver reinforcement every time our client calls the orange or banana fruit, then by the principle of reinforcement, that behavior is going to increase and will encourage generalization. Now, that seems like a simple answer, but most of the time, the simplest answer is typically true. Don't overcomplicate this. You want to increase a behavior, you want to encourage a behavior. What should you use? Well, reinforcement. So, what about B? Reinforce the client when they refer to the apple as fruit. If we reinforce the client for calling the apple fruit, what are we going to encourage? Well, we'll continue to encourage the client to call the apple fruit, but we want them to call the orange and banana fruit. So, our goal here is orange and banana, not apple. So, B is out. C, punish the client when they do not refer to the orange or banana as fruit. If we want to increase a behavior, if we want to teach a behavior, if we want to encourage a behavior, should we use punishment? No. Punishment is not going to help us teach a behavior because punishment only decreases behavior. So if we're trying to encourage something, if we want something to happen more, we shouldn't punish it because punishment will only decrease. We want to use reinforcement. In this case, we want to encourage stimulus generalization. We want the client to start calling orange and banana fruit. What should we do? We should reinforce the client when they refer to the orange or banana as fruit. Lucas does not engage in many forms of problem behavior, but he will use bad language after overhearing his older brother speak. Lucas' parents decide that they will give Lucas $1, but only if he doesn't use any bad language for the entire day. What differential reinforcement strategy does this resemble? So we have a differential reinforcement question. In differential reinforcement, we are reinforcing one thing and putting other responses on extinction. When you get a differential reinforcement question, ask yourself, am I teaching an alternative or replacement behavior? If you're teaching a replacement behavior, then you're likely using an alternative or incompatible strategy. So are we teaching Lucas an replacement or an alternative behavior? Well, we know Lucas will use bad language after hearing his brother speak. Lucas gets $1 when he doesn't use bad language. So we're not reinforcing Lucas for a new behavior. We're only reinforcing Lucas when he doesn't engage in a behavior. We're reinforcing in the absence of a behavior. So what do we call it when we reinforce in the absence of a behavior? A, differential reinforcement of alternative behavior, or B, differential reinforcement of incompatible behavior. Why can't it be A or B? Well, because A or B teaches a specific alternative or replacement behavior, and we're not doing that here. So it cannot be a DRA or a DRI. It has to be C, a DRO, a differential reinforcement of other behavior. Because with the differential reinforcement of other behavior strategy, we are reinforcing for a behavior not occurring. In this case, Lucas is getting reinforced when he doesn't use bad language, when the behavior does not occur. Higher rates is a differential reinforcement strategy, but not one you need to know for your RBT exam. Once again, if you're reinforcing for a behavior not occurring, you're typically going to be using a differential reinforcement of other behavior strategy. You head to the store to get a bottle of water for the day ahead. You're looking for hint water and walk around the store until you finally see a row of hint water in one of the refrigerated sections, so you walk over and grab a bottle. What is the SD for gaining hint water? So we have an SD question, and our SD is the antecedent for the response and the consequence. And what do we consider an SD? Well, an SD is something that signals a consequence is available. In this case, you're looking for a bottle of water. So we need an SD that's going to signal to us that that bottle of water is available. So what do? You walk around the store, you see the row of hint water in a refrigerated section. What is signaling to you that that hint water is now available? Well, you can see it in the refrigerated section. When you see the water, that signals to you by walking over and grabbing a bottle, you're going to receive reinforcement. So the question asks, what is the SD for gaining hint water? A, heading to the store for a bottle of water. Now, let's say you go to the store and they have no bottles of water. There is no SD for water. The store is not necessarily going to be the SD for water, because just because you see a store doesn't mean the water is available. The SD signals the availability of the consequence. What about B, the different refrigerated sections in the store? Well, what if you have a refrigerated section that only has vegetables? That refrigerated section is not going to signal to you that water is available. In this case, only when you see the row of hint water are you being signaled that water is now available. So when you see the row of hint water, that is the SD to walk over, grab the bottle, and you get your hint water. Walking over and grabbing the bottle is obviously a response and not an SD. So the SD for gaining hint water is going to be seeing the row of hint water. That row signals to you that hint water is now available. Your client's new dad believes that punishment is the most effective way of teaching new behaviors and prefers that you use punishment during your interventions. Which of the following explanations are true as to why punishment is not always advised as a possible intervention? So when we think about punishment in ABA, we simply think about consequences that decrease behavior. But there are still ethical concerns to punishment, and there are still societal ideas around punishment. And so when we're discussing punishment, and your supervisor is going to be helping you with this and leading you through this, we've got to keep some things in mind as to why punishment is very, very rarely our first option. In this case, your client's dad says punishment is the most effective way of teaching new behaviors, and they want you to use punishment during your interventions. What could you say, or what might you say with your supervisor that would be true as to why punishment might not be advised as an intervention? A, punishment does not increase new behaviors. We know that to be true. Punishment decreases behaviors. So when your client's dad says punishment is an effective way of teaching, well, we're not going to teach new behaviors. We're not going to increase or strengthen new behaviors with punishment, because punishment, by definition, only decreases. What about B? Punishment can lead to punishment-induced aggression. Sure, punishment can cause emotional reactions. Punishment can cause aggression that wasn't there before, because typically you're introducing an aversive. So we've got to be very careful about using punishment and then witnessing aggression as a result of the punishment. And then C, punishment is not permanent. This is the big one. Punishment decreases behavior, but it's not permanent. If you don't teach a replacement behavior or a behavior that's been punished and you stop punishment, that behavior is very likely to come back, because it's still serving a purpose, it's still serving a function, it's meeting a need. And you can start to experience resistance to punishment, where the learner gets used to the punishment and it loses its effectiveness. We've got to be very careful with punishment. If we're going to use punishment, we need a replacement. Now, all of these things are explanations that are true as to why punishment is not always advised. A, punishment does not increase new behaviors. B, punishment can lead to punishment-induced aggression. And C, punishment is not permanent. A skill acquisition target has baseline data and intervention data that shows the target was mastered by the client, so the intervention ends. Every 2 weeks, data is taken on this target by the behavior technician. What type of data is likely being taken? All right, let's finish with a data collection question. And what do we know? We know a skill target has baseline, has intervention, and was mastered, and the intervention ended. So if you can picture that, we took baseline data on this target, you intervened, you took data on the intervention, mastered it, and the intervention ended. Now, every 2 weeks, data is being taken on the target behavior by the technician. What could the technician be taking data on? A, baseline. Well, we've taken baseline and the target's been mastered, and we're only taking it every 2 weeks. So it's not going to be baseline. It's also not going to be intervention. Intervention is over. The target was mastered. What we're likely taking data on is maintenance. We're likely taking maintenance data. This idea of every 2 weeks taking data is the behavior technician going back and making sure that skill that was mastered is still there. So the type of data likely being taken is C, maintenance. Thank you for watching. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials. Subscribe for our updates. When you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.